Sky Sports coverage of the European Tour is in association with Scottish Life, the pension company. Sky Sports with Scottish Life, the pension company, bringing you winning performers.
The Ryder Cup roller coaster is off and running. Europe's golfers are all aboard for what could be the thrill of a sporting lifetime. Everyone inspired by unforgettable images from this classic confrontation. The famous trophy is back on the agenda, and in the mountains of Switzerland, everyone's on a high in more ways than one.
The real good point is at the point start tomorrow. We've got some great players coming through. We've got some very good established players. So it's looking great.
It's certainly looking great in the grandeur of Cran-Sur-Sierre and the Swiss Alps. From there, it's round one of the Canon European Masters. Welcome to Cran and one of the most popular weeks on the European Tour. A huge prize fund and a week in one of the most delightful places on earth is usually enough incentive, but add to that the fact that this is week one of the Ryder Cup qualification procedure and it's almost unmissable. I say almost because for some reason Colin Montgomery's not here, but apart from that the lineup reads like a Ryder Cup Roll of Honour from past and present. Sevy's a past champion here. Can the mountain air breathe new life into his career? Another former winner, Nick Faldo, also enjoys life at the top. He really misses this one. The new breed of Ryder Cuppers are well represented. Podrick Harrington's here, along with one of his Brookline partners, Miguel Angel Jimenez. Paul Lawrie hit the first shot in Boston and strikes his first blow for the Belfry here. And Europe's high rollers are back on track for more Ryder Cup duty. Darren Clarke out to catch defending champion Lee Westwood at the top of the Volvo Order of Merit. Sam's a non-playing captain, but he's competing this week and keeping a close eye on the rest. Top finishers well rewarded here, and remember, prize money means points in the countdown to the Ryder Cup, so a total of 1.5 million points available this week alone. A vital 4 days ahead then on the European Tour as we cross another international border. We've crossed the Alps from Germany. We're northeast of Geneva, high up in the spectacular surroundings of Cran-Sur-Sierre. One of the most unlikely but prettiest golf venues on any tour in the world. A par 71 course, just over 6,800 yards at an altitude of 4,000 feet. So we're all set. There was rain overnight and some early morning mist, but nothing to interrupt the start of play. Let's get to see what happened early in round one with Ewan Murray.
Thank you very much, David, on this beautiful day high up in the Swiss Alps. And we've been talking about Sam Torrance and the Ryder Cup. Well, that's a long way off. For the moment, we'll concentrate on the Canon European Masters of 2000. It was an early start for Sam today, 8 o'clock off the 10th. He turned in 37, birdied the first, and at his final hole, the par 5 9th, his 10-footer was his 75th shot of the day. Not the best of starts for Sam. And how wonderful it is to see Nick Faldo back in Europe, and he's playing well too. This was him at the 7th, which was his 16th. Very nearly in there for an eagle too. That birdie helped Faldo round in 69. Michael Campbell began at the 10th, 2 twos in the first 4 holes, a 3 at the 18th, had him out in 32. A birdie at the 1st was followed by a birdie at the 7th, and he wasn't finished. His final hole, the par 5 9th, in for a 4 back in 33, and that round of 65 has taken Michael Campbell to the top of the leaderboard. Into the afternoon section, and Lee Westwood hadn't made the best of starts, 1 over playing the 4th, level playing the 5th. He wouldn't make a birdie there, but he was back in action at the 6th hole. Tightest hole perhaps in European Tour golf. 5-iron and a wedge left him below the cup. Putter from 15 feet completed the job. 3 birdies for Lee Westwood. He has just birdied the 7th. Darren Clark at the 4th. Over 500 yards and a par 4. Clark had birdied the 1st. And he also birdied the 4th. Par followed at the 5th. 2 glorious shots left him a 7-footer at the 6th. In she went for another birdie. 3 birdies in the first 6 as Clark at 3 under par. Miguel Angel Jimenez, as Bruce was saying earlier, has been quiet for too long. Well, he's burst into life in the early stages here at Cron. This is 2nd at the 5th. And that would be his 2nd birdie of the day. It took him to 2 under. 4-iron off the 6th. Left him an awkward shot. Full swing, plenty of height. And one of the great things professionals do is they trust their yardage. Pin high there, in that would go for another birdie. Scott Rowe at the 10th, we saw his 2nd shot. 407 yards. And Scott Rowe is a player who feels at home anywhere. He has 3 passports. He was born in Puerto Rico. That entitles him US nationality. His parents are Canadian, so he has that as well. And 14 years living in Hong Kong has him a Hong Kong passport, and he's moving nicely up the leaderboard. There he is there at 3 under par alongside Romero, who has just held his 2nd shot at the par 4 6th. Darren Clark also at 3 under par, and Nick Faldo and Stephen Allen inside the top 10 at 2 under. That's a popular score. There are some 11 players at 2 under par. Sanderlin has found the 7th with his tee shot, and he has a chance here for an eagle 2.
He could do with it as well. He's 1 over at this stage when so many of them are 2, 3, 4 under, but not to be. But he'll accept his first birdie of the day. And of course Michael Campbell, who in what has been acknowledged as much the tougher conditions, wind and rain first thing, and a very chill. Gordon Brown Jr.'s caddy was saying the ball was going absolutely nowhere, even at this height. It can do so. He'll look forward to reverse of conditions tomorrow and be able to build on that brilliant 65. We'll go to the 9th, 3rd shot. This really is a genuine 3-shotter, although what wind there is helping. There's a tree on the left which bothers your 2nd shot, so you keep out here. Pin on the middle of 3 levels. And a narrow target too. And that's just gone off back down the front. Many doing that, because where it lands for the 2nd time is that's going off the green. Hasn't finished rolling.
Blame Savvy, Miguel. He designed it.
Yeah.
Westwood at the 8. Good tee shot right on line, but half a club short. Go on, go on. Oh, just enough. Just enough from Westwood. And that's put the smiles on the spectators' faces. Lovely run. 4 birdies now in 5 holes.
Yes, and when he's hit his second shot in the bunker at the 4th, I mean, he's looking to sort of get it, struggling to get it out in 36, but he's so confident now that the odd bad shot has never really bothered him, but he knows that he's playing well enough. Birdies will come, perhaps not as in a prolific run like that, but that's put him right back in the tournament. I say there'll be many, many more scores under par this afternoon than there were this morning.
Confirmation of the birdie of Darren Clark at the 7th there. So he stays 1 ahead of Lee Westwood, and he's moved into a tie for 3rd with Brett Rumford, Miguel Angel Jimenez.
Gromberg quite a bit closer to the green, just playing a wedge down the slope.
Very unlucky. Let's look at the pitch mark, right by the hole side.
And there's another of those little gullies running around the green where a lot of water has gathered as it runs off the slope. It's greasy, it's a little bit muddy, so it won't be an inviting chip, and not made any easier because it's a short.
It's a little chip for Darren Clark at the 11th. Decided to take the putter, and quite sensibly keeping it below the hole. In fact, that was the same idea as Westwood. Howard was telling us about that little 3-wood. I thought he was chipping because he was standing so upright. Whatever it does, he's managed to get the job done there.
They've had quite a lot of rain recently. You could see the different coloured sand there. And quite clever that, whether it was intentional or not, by Jimenez, using the bank behind the pin. But a lot of sand and not a lot of green, and you've got to hit it quite hard to get the height on the shot.
Very, very fast putt from Sandlin. The one thing you don't want to do there is leave it short, because you've got the same problem all over again.
Cabrera really hard. He's just got to get it to the top of the slope and hope it dies. Well, that's a brilliant golf shot. Very nearly hold it. I think Seve might have had a little inspiration. It's a less dramatic version of the 6th green at Augusta, which has a big high little sort of pulpit position back right on a green that slopes from front to back.
Westwood ahead in the Volvo order of merit, but Thomas Bjorn, with that victory last week, has managed to get himself within 315,000, and in between these two, Darren Clark and Ernie Els. Montgomery's not out of this race yet, and he's not here this week, and maybe that's a good thing. But his form of late hasn't really been of the quality we expect from Colin. He'll know that. He'll be the first to admit it, and he'll be the first to do something about it.
Bad year and 880,000 quid to show for it.
Well, that's it. It's not a bad year, you see, and that's the way Colin will look at it. He's quite philosophical when it comes to all these things. He's just had a bit of bad form. He talked, I think, too much about poor putting early on in the year, and he's not a poor putter. But over the last couple of months, I don't think he's hit his irons quite close enough.
Yes, he's actually 23rd in the putting statistics, which is quite high up. And of course, if you're vying for the top spots, it's probably his weakest division, but it's not bad. The man who is top, though, at the moment, Westwood. And you could see the danger of that. They'd only just got up the slope, any an ounce less hard, and that would have died away to the right. 2 more shots, so he'll have that, and he'll be more than happy with a par after the tee shot.
Quite surprised there's not more copper beryllium wedges. Westwood's always used them. He likes the feel of them, and there's no doubt they are soft. You've got a glimpse of the V70 there in the background. Oh, it might belong to Romero. Oh, he'd be standing back in the tee then. He wouldn't know if that was short or past.
You know it isn't in because there'd have been a lot more noise out of the green. Well, Philip Price had the advantage of watching Jimenez shots, and it is an advantage. You learn from it. Sand very nice, and he's come out with a little gem of his own. And a 3 there should keep his neat card going.
I didn't think we were going to see that much blue sky when we clambered out of the pit this morning. It was a bit grey and a bit miserable.
Yes, a lot of chilly showers coming through. I see the playing early on, not just cold and wind and stuff, but about every 15 or 20 minutes you get 5 minutes of sharp downpour. Waterproofs on, umbrellas up, all interfering with the flow of the game.
We heard Sam Torrance at the top of the programme talk about the quality players we have on the European Tour, and you have to put Philip Price up there with that quality now. I know he's only had 1 victory. I'm sure that will change, but the last 2 years have been very, very impressive.
Well, we talked even last year that there was improvement he'd made, and there's been another one this year. Gary Orr, another one in very much in that category.
Bad news though about Per Ulrik Johansson. He's ill again, and they really can't find out what the problem is.
No, he's got a few pains. He's got high blood pressure, and he's taken this week and the next 2 off while he goes and has some more tests. As he's had a terrible run of bad fortune from a health point of view. And he, one who's in 2 Ryder Cup turnouts, has shown tremendous courage and loved the heat of in the kitchen.
I was talking to Brian Huggett at the weekend. We were down just north of Nice in the south of France, and he was saying that he'd love Johansson to be fit just for a couple of years, because he could see all the qualities in Johansson that perhaps Huggett had himself when we go back to the '69 Ryder Cup, faced with that 4-footer which Brian thought he had to win.
And which he held. Westwood for a par. Bit of right to left, but pretty straight. And he's holed it. 2 good ones in a row. But the tenor of his round has changed. It's become a little bit of a struggle, and it's changed just about the time that the wind got up, and I think you can see it in the scoring. It's suddenly become a day to hang on to a good score if you've got one, rather than try and improve on it.
You'll see the name there of Henrik Nyström from Sweden. He's got himself to 3 under par. Bird is coming at 14, 15 and 17. One of these players who has started from the 10th. Darcy's out in 3 under, but they're still chasing the leader here from New Zealand, Michael Campbell. Back in time just to see Paolo Caricci's tee shot at the 13th. That requires a fade in from the left, and that's beautifully executed. Also prizes virtually for all the par 3s, not here at the 13th. This is the 12th.
Looks a very tiny target, this 12th green, when you look down with the pin in shadow and the wrong level, that level in sunshine. And it is, to find that right part where they've put the pin, it is a very small target. But again, you're only going in with a very short iron. It's a sensible question to be asked.
Up the hill, 196 for Westwood. And again, a very similar club to the last short hole.
Go on, go on.
Judging this one a little bit better, that's kept below the hole.
Mark McNulty's still going very well despite dropping a shot at that 13th hole. Par at the 14th, putt or birdie putt rather here at the 14th. And it is going to be a par 5. Very dangerous shot into the screen. There's out of bounds just off the back edge of the green.
Things are not going so well for Matthias. He's really letting a few shots slip away very casually this afternoon. And he has to get his house in order because there are a couple of par fives and a couple of birdie chances to finish with. So much can happen.
Temperature out there, Howard?
It's actually very pleasant, Ewan. It seems to range from about 75 degrees in the sunshine and in the sheltered parts, and very chilly on the exposed parts when the wind gets up. There's always been a big temperature difference here, you know, with the sheltered parts and the exposed parts. But very nice.
Big changes in the golf course since we first played back in the 70s, Howard.
So many changes, it's hard to list them all, Ewan. It really is. It's basically the same course, but we know that the greens have changed totally, you know, different to the ones that we played back in the 70s and 80s. I've been coming here since 1974, so any changes that have been made, I've seen them all, but it doesn't even resemble the course that I first saw.
Best finish here, Howard?
You mentioned Jerry Anderson earlier.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit of a dig, actually.
I would never do that to you, never.
That was my best year at the Crown course, and he actually managed to make the record just when I played my best golf. I finished second.
He was a fine player, that
What a
Jerry
great
Anderson.
player. What a great player.
Now you're looking at the two par fives there that come up next for Lee Westwood. The one on the bottom right of your screen, down the hill, that's the 14th. And then on the other side you come back up the hill, the 15th. Cabrera, Price and Jimenez are currently on the first par 5, the 14th there. Never used to be water. You see there's some water there in the right middle of your screen just past these fir trees. That used to be a big dip. But if you are going to go for this green from somewhere around 260 yards, you have to be mighty careful you don't get it right out of the button and it goes over the green. Out of bounds is no more than 5 or 6 feet away.
Yes, and that pond there was there about 6 or 7 years before Seve got at the course, so it was put in before, so they've been changing it. But I think it was really on a course that if they wanted to hold a really important event and test the players, the greens were the one place you could do something. It wasn't a course because of where it is, halfway up and out. You really couldn't extend it or change it in any way. So the greens have been made the difficult task.
I like that, halfway up and out.
Well, it was said that somebody might hear it.
Well, there's the water you were talking about, and you do have a decision to make. You can either lay it up at the end of the fairway, there's 3 balls there, or you can have a crack. Looked like one of these golf balls had a red line in it. Could be one from the driving range, but I suppose that's not far away, is it?
It is, and with the wind where it's coming from, it's now in range. Always has been a problem. As you said, where do you fit a driving range in? Jimenez, second shot, he's just lost the plot a little bit. He's just taken 4 at the 2 short holes, 11 and 13. We saw his bunker shot at 13, didn't make the putt back. But he's going for it. Wind helping here, and it's wonderful sort of risk reward country. Shouts of 4, bounding on the far ground, and well, probably just as well that had the pace taken off it by the edge of the bunker. I think he's been a bit lucky down there. He's actually got a runway through to the pin, to the on the little walkway between the green and the 15th tee.
Back at the 12th, Darren Clark. He's had a couple of putts today that he just hasn't been able to have a go at. He's had to knock them up there and get them stone dead and accept a par. It's not always easy to do when you're striking the ball perfectly. Feel you can birdie nearly every hole.
Sadly was one who's found his game through the stiff breeze that's now blowing across here. Missed for a 3. He's got another. Oh. How did that move at the last second? That would have been his 4th birdie in 6 holes. Just when everybody else is finding the game a bit difficult as the winds got up, he's been the one finding some birdies.
All of the field going through there on our scores. Little trailer at the bottom of the screen. Roller captions. Keeps you up to date with what's going on both in the morning and the afternoon rounds. Westwood for a 2. He's batting much better, Lee Westwood. He didn't have a great start to the year on the greens.
No, and those 2 big tournaments, the PGA and the NEC in the United States, he felt tee to green. He was as good as he's been this summer and just didn't hold the putts. Of course, putting in America is a bit different. I mean, there is difference to what they play out in Europe. Firmer, faster.
I'm sure Philip Price would back that up too, and he certainly enjoyed his couple of weeks out there. Had his coach Dennis Sheehy with him. Put in a lot of hard work, and at the end of it they got quite a bit of reward. 3rd shot here now. He's one of the players who's laid up.
And you won't actually see where that's ended. That's run through the back, wind behind, and of course they'd much rather have the wind in their face, playing a little pitch in. You can use it as almost like a sort of back wall to hold the ball up. So work to be done to save par.
One of the balls there on the fairway has indeed come from the practice range, but 2 of the 3 we saw were layups. One from Cabrera. I can only think that he's missed the fairway off the tee, because this must have been within range for him.
Oh yeah. 598, but it almost, with the wind behind and the slopes, plays 100 yards less than that.
Shot required here really is down the shaft and try and punch this one in low, because the green's sitting at you. Quite a clever shot from Cabrera, trying to get the ball to release forward to the pin. The only other option he had was to play it over the top and bring it back. Too dangerous, that one, I think.
Yes, and harder to do with the wind behind. It just sort of carries the ball that extra fraction of a second in the air, and the spins gets taken off it. So again, after a very good start, life's got to become a bit of a struggle, but he's fighting well. Just the 1 drop shot in the last few holes.
The thing is, 69 is a very good score today, because 66 is probably going to lead unless we have some fireworks at the end of the round from the likes of Romero, who indeed tapped that putt in at the 11th for a 2. It's his second 2 of the round. He's moved into a tie for 2nd place. 69-70 won't be too bad.
Oh no, anything under par. There are only 33 players under par, which is quite few in a European event, particularly with this quality of field on the first day.
Westwood tapped in for his 3. The pin's back in the hole at the 13th, so that leaves the way clear for Jarmo. Enjoy watching Jarmo. Gives everything 100%.
We've often spoke about it. We just feel if he could sort of acquire a sort of a safe stock shot, you know, where he sort of 3/4 swing and punch it through, it would be an added asset to his repertoire. As you say, he does hit everything flat out.
Well, you see how quickly the club moves inside and across the line. There's not many safe shots from there. Half a club out.
Here's Jimenez. He's probably some 3 or 4 feet above the level of the putting surface, chipping down slope, little bank just before he gets to the green, and then downhill once he gets on it.
These two pitches of Jimenez and Price were always going to be tricky. Price surveying his up. Romero at the 12th. Another one not quite making it up to the top level. And what a great end to the season it will be for the likes of Cabrera, Romero, probably Caceres, with the new World Cup, EMC Squared World Cup down in Buenos Aires. At the moment, I think it's Cabrera and Caceres.
Clark at the 13th, the short hole up the hill, and he's gone over the left-hand side. That's going to be a very difficult putt across the slope, and he might have to start that about 3 or 4 yards left and run it over the top of that back shelf.
I love the work that Butch Harmon and Darren Clark have done on this golf swing. Look how simple that is. One movement all the way to the top, and then it's virtually a reversal on the way through. Look from another angle here, the right side goes out of the way. Sometimes his right hip used to get high, which straightened his right leg. He didn't get enough tension in his backswing. But when he keeps that right leg flexed and the hips move around him, that's when he's at his most powerful.
I think he's a wonderfully exciting golfer. He's not afraid of a good score, which some find it hard to sort of go through the barrier. He enjoys it and he plows on. He's capable of phenomenal golf, as we've seen the 60 at the K Club on a really difficult golf course, and of course that magical day against Woods in La Costa in February.
Heather Clark, who's Darren's wife, if you're watching at home, get him a lighter for his Christmas. What about with a book of matches there? Looks a bit common.
Well, there used to be a time when you actually had to take the old wrapper off the cigar. It was not done to sort of smoke it with the little gold ring on it.
th green and the 15th tee, no more than 12 yards apart. So it's another corner of the golf course that slows up play a little. But good drive from McNulty up the left centre. Talking about Caceres, not having a great day. He's 3 over par. That's the one birdie. It came at the 5th. Dropped shots at the 2nd, the 4th, and most recently the 12th and 13th.
He's another one who's had he had a wonderful spell of golf around the time he won in Dubai, 3 or 4 top 10s as well, and then he's gone off the boil in the second half of the season. Anyway, there they go, up the top right-hand corner of your screen. As I say, it's getting on for 100 yards less, but it's uphill, it's into the wind, and far fewer going for the green in 2 there than down here at the 14th.
Some building works going on in the distance. See the crane there. More chalets being built. Doesn't seem to worry Cabrera. That's a fine putt from there. But for him, really a shot gone. Regularly hits the ball over 300 yards, and that would only leave him an iron into that 14th.
Sandlin's ball ran back about 8 or 10 yards back down the slope at the front of this green, although he nearly got onto the top of it, and it's, although he's crossed with how much spin he got on that, it was really the tee shot that was the mistake.
A lot of these tees so near the greens, and Roger Chapman playing at the 12th off the edge of the 13th tee. And what a fine shot that is. That's a marvellous shot. Playing alongside Ronan Rafferty. We mentioned he had an early birdie, has since dropped 3 shots, had a couple over. Romero, of course, the other member there of the 3-ball. It's been difficult for Ronan to get back in. It's been such a long time out for him.
That's the point. 2-3 years with a damaged hand, and talk to all the players, even the ones who played on, how the standard has risen and you come back. He's played probably 8 or 10, 11 events, just 1 cut made so far. That was in Germany. And a hole he could reach in 2, Jimenez here, looking as though he might drop another shot.
was unlucky. He caught a particularly thick part of the rough there. And sometimes when you put the club behind the ball, you feel the ball's going to fly off the club face, and it didn't quite happen for him there. Ice already chipped up from the back edge. He's inside Jimenez.
Now 4 rounds for you over the weekend here. I mean, does this sort of make you think of time has come to have another go?
No, I don't think so. I thoroughly enjoyed it though, because I've spent quite a bit of time with Scott Cranfield in the 2 weeks before the 4 rounds. I didn't want to go out there cold. And the strange thing is that the best part of my game used to be wedge and bunker shots and short game, and that was the worst part. The worst part of my game was driving. That was the best part. So I don't know if that's a step in the right direction or not.
Something called age. Shorter and straighter. This for a 5 for Jimenez, and he does it. He's hung on well. It's been an awkward, difficult spell for him.
Montserrat urging that one in. Still Campbell at the top. There's been no change since we came on air about 2 3/4 hours ago. Romero into second with Henny Otto. Romero with still 7 holes left to play. And Nick Faldo at 2 under with another 10 inside the top 10. No drop shots for Darren Clark today. Remember, back left of the 13th, putted down to here. No, just as I say that, the first bogey of the day. So he goes back to 3 under par, which is still a shot ahead of Lee Westwood, who is laid up short of the water at the 14th.
He has laid up exactly into the correct position, 145 yards from the flag, but the wind is really swirling at this point of the course, down into a little hollow, houses and trees all around, so that's probably deflecting the wind in different ways. It should be helping. We're just seeing long drives on this hole from groups in front and groups behind, so it's certainly helping. It's a wedge for Westwood.
Bad. As I say, downwind, these chip shots, you never really know in your heart of hearts how it's going to fly, how much the wind is going to get underneath it and lift it. Sometimes the wind behind can knock it down. So they much prefer to be playing those sort of shots into the breeze. Romero did get up and down, well, from the bottom level for his par at 12. He remains 5 under, and he may improve on that. And of course, always remember in terms of his overall score, if he could, he's got the 2 par 5s, 14 and 15 to come, which are the most obvious birdie opportunities.
Gronberg quite fortunate with his pitch shot there. He's got into a decent position and a good shot from where he was. Blind third shot from in that hollow.
Certainly use a birdie. Karichi at -1, Westwood 2 under, but Gronberg at +3. And you know, you get the feeling if he can birdie this one, he's got the power probably to birdie the 15th. 17 and 18 also offer birdie opportunities. And whereas 72 used to be a bad score around here, it's not a bad score any longer.
Not on a day like this when you've got this blustery conditions. They flirted between 71 and 72 par because they used to be 72, 71 now because they've turned that 16th into a 3 at the same time as they redesigned the green.
We saw the tee shot of McNulty at the 15th, 3 wood second. Two powerful hits from McNulty. But it's such a narrow entrance to try and find the middle of this green. Remember, it's a blind second, you're up and over the hill.
Yes, and between those two bunkers, probably no more than 15 yards. Thread it through. Karichi, who's made about £90,000 this year, which means he'll keep his card without any much trouble. He's lying about in 82nd slot in the order of merit.
The name of Nick Doherty going through there. One of the most promising young amateurs we have in the British Isles. Coached by Nick Falder, but at +3.
Yes, starting out this afternoon, certainly in the eyes of the Walker Cup captain and an acknowledged expert, Peter McAvoy, perhaps the player of the young players with the most potential of all the youngsters coming through.
I would have to put Luke Donald at the top of that list. He really does look a fine player.
And make it near.
Paul Casey, another one. Perhaps should have won the individual last week in the Eisenhower Trophy.
Yes, unlike him to have a last round like that after 3 rounds in the 60s. Everyone obviously has varying ideas on who's going to be the next star, but certainly the 3 we've mentioned, they've all got great opportunities.
Well, I think all of them are certainly a match for, on their day, any American amateurs that can be put into the field. A 6 for Price at the last. It was his first drop shot. Just a shortish putt, usually the way when you drop a shot at this level.
Flag there making Philip feel at home, I should think.
Paolo was quite unlucky with the second shot that he hit here. A 3-iron from 260 yards down the hill. Didn't quite get the bounce from the front of the green. That's left him this putt up the hill, all the way up the hill to this flag position.
Pin 20 yards back, so that was the length the putt he had, and judged that very well. Again, you sort of up over the top of the rise, it's beginning to fall away when you get to the back. All these greens used to be saucer shaped, quite small, and Seve's really reversed most of them. I suppose, Howard, a little help for Westwood. He's on much the same line, but a bit from the right, maybe.
Only a slightly different angle, Bruce. It's virtually the same, and it will not move very much at all. If anything, should fall towards the front of the green, so that will be right to left. But I think there's a double break in this one. It should go left to right early, and then hopefully just fall back towards the front of the green on the last 6 or 7 feet. A few trees have been cut down behind this green to let a little bit more light into this back left area.
And it sounds as though they've taken the timber and are building houses with it next door.
McNulty, 15th, third shot. That was always likely to happen, because if you get too much ball and not enough sand, you're way over the other side, then you have no chance of getting down in 2. It's a green that narrows in the centre and then begins to widen out again to 13.
Romero for a share of the lead. And when you consider that almost the same direction, Darren Clark and his ball moved left to right from there, entitled a bit surprised, probably dead straight.
Was for his third 2 of the round. done. Matthias Grönberg gets a reward for that brave third shot. It's his first birdie since the fourth. And she goes, very easy birdie for Kariuchi. He moves to 2 under, which is 3 shots ahead of the latest champion in Europe, Thomas Bjorn, who's alongside David Livingston.
Thomas, terrific week last week, and you come in here, obviously with great expectations. A slightly slow start for you. It's a game that does kind of bring you back to earth quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and it was a tough day today. It's been 3 tough weeks for me the last 3 weeks. I've been in contention all 3 of them, and it's just been 3 tough weeks, and I just really didn't get going today, and I was hoping for a bit more, but now we just have to work hard the next 3 days.
Of course, you're not that far away, 1 over par, whatever happens in the afternoon, but you know, how do you then approach it? Is it just a matter of going and playing?
Yeah, I feel that I've done it a lot the last 3 weeks. I'm really here to just enjoy myself for a week and see how it goes, and get back on the range with the coach next week, and then start working hard again.
We were all amused in the week to see some quotes from you about qualifying early, you know, by Christmas for the Ryder Cup. It looks as if it's been a particularly aggressive statement by you. How did that come about?
No, I was asked a question in the press conference about if a goal of mine was to qualify for the Ryder Cup, and well, I think if you're out here and you're playing well, I think that's a definite goal, and my answer to it was really that I'd rather set myself a goal to qualify before Christmas than to qualify for the Ryder Cup, because I think that's a very obvious goal to have. If you contend well on this tour, you should have that as a goal. So it was more really to say that if you're going to set yourself a goal with the Ryder Cup, you might as well set yourself a goal to qualify early. If I don't qualify by Christmas, I'm not going to be disappointed, but as long as I qualify. But it was just really to set myself a goal to get in there as quickly as possible, because when it comes down to the last 4 or 5 tournaments of the Ryder Cup qualification, it's a tough situation to be in, and you really want to be there as quickly as possible, and that gives Sam a bit of peace and quiet in his mind as well, to see guys get in there early, and so I really just thought that it was such an obvious goal to qualify as quickly as possible. So I thought it was a bit of a question, one of those questions you think, well, why ask that question? I think that's very obvious to everybody, that everybody wants to be in that team.
And of course, to put it into perspective from your point of view, you were the first to say to me when I arrived here this week, look, you guys, calm down. It's 12 months away. I mean, we do get excited about it because it's one of the greatest things in earth, but I suppose we have to keep a sense of balance about it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially for guys early on that wins tournaments, there's a lot of pressure put on them by Ryder Cup, and it's 12 months away, and you need to play consistently well, and you got to do more than win 1 golf tournament to get in that team. You have to be consistent, and people tend to the pressure builds up too quickly, I think, for the Ryder Cup. It's next September, and let's play some golf and then see what happens.
Enjoy your weekend here.
Thanks.
And let's play some more golf with Darren Clarke here at the 14th. He's having a go up and over the water. Oh, what a marvellous shot. And I hope there's enough rough there.
Yes, I think fortunately seemed to get to the bottom of it, but it's lovely shot. It's not that easy a shot because you're on such a downslope. Coming from there with a wooden club in your hand, it's to get the height that you're really looking for.
Søren Hansen now 2 under and 3 to play. Darren Clarke 3 under and 5 to play. And also out in the course there, Henrik Nyström from Sweden, who's managed to get himself 4 under par through 10 holes. His latest birdie coming at his 10th, the opening hole here at Cran-Sur-Sierre. Kariuchi's birdie at the 14th, taking him to 2 under alongside Westwood, McNulty, Jimenez, Price, Darcy, who's just dropped a shot. And Gordon Brown Jr. now back on tour and back playing some of his best golf to a round of 70 day for the Scot from Kirkcaldy. That's the top 20. We'll continue after these. A skier's paradise as we look up to Crom Montana, already a thick covering of snow there. And so far in round 1, We've had our own fireworks on the fairways. Nick Faldo produced some of them earlier today. One of the early starters. The 7th was his 16th hole. 2 putts from the front, giving him a birdie. 69 for our Nick. A new name to many of you, Henny Otto from South Africa. He's from Boksburg. Twice a winner on the Vodacom Tour. Got onto the tour through the Challenge Tour last year, and he's played some terrific golf. Lovely second there, finding the right level at the 12th. All that en route to a round of 66. Great start it was for Lee Westwood once he holed the bunker shot at the 4th for a birdie. It got him back to level par, and then he went on the birdie trail. 25 feet left at the 8th, 25 feet and 1 inch accomplished. He's a couple under, 4 to play. Dallin birdied the 1st, parred the 2nd and 3rd. And one of the longest par 4s I think I've ever come across. 506 yards is the 4th, reduced to a drive and a mid-iron from Clark. And of course the 6-foot putt was completed successfully as well. Probably the best shot of the afternoon players has come from the Argentine star Eduardo Romero. Romero out in 32, he eagled the 6th. And he very nearly eagled the 11th, which would have given him a comfy car to ride home in. That is second 2 of the round. But even with the class of the afternoon, no one has been able to catch the top player of the morning. Michael Campbell, his final shot of the day. It came on the par 5 9th. It was his 65th stroke of the day. And it still keeps him out in front by 1 from Otto and Eduardo Romero. Right, Rumford from Australia round in 67. And Nystrom going well this afternoon. Henrik from Sweden at 4 under par. Jared Mosley back to form. Hasn't been a great season for him, winner of the Heineken 2 years ago. And you'll see all these players are at 2 under, which include Miguel Ángel Jiménez. He's currently on the 15th, and he has his sights set on a birdie 4, just short and 2.
Awkward little pitch. You can see that ridge in front. He's just rumming up there, but he's played it very well. And that should, in due course, become a 4. And get him back moving in the right direction again after those bogeys at the short holes. 3 to play, a 3 and 2 par 4s, and as Ewan was saying, 17 and 18 shortish par 4s that, well, in the mines, just 350 yards or so, should become. Give you a very good chance of a birdie.
Par putt for Paul Lawrie at the 14th. No, what a pity. He just had his first birdie of the day at the 13th. Going to be his second 6 of the round. Another one coming at the 9th.
We'll go ahead to the 15th green. Cabrera found this narrow target in 2, and that's his eagle putt, and he's got not quite the legs, but a nice 4, and finally using his length, getting the drive on the fairway, and he'll go 2 under when he knocks that putt in with 3 to play.
Darren's second shot with a 3-wood at the 14th, just off the back left-hand corner. He found a reasonable lie from there.
Just had his first bogey with a 3-putt at 13. That was a chance to make that a distant memory.
It's going to be a great fight, I think, all the way to the end of the season for the Volvo Order of Merit this year. Philip Price, of course, will be in contention for that. But that's a birdie putt missed up on the 15th. Price in 6th place, just behind Montgomery. Bjorn moving up there, just under 1 million. And Els, Clark and Westwood occupying the first 3 places. So I think it will go all the way down to Jerez and onwards to Valderrama.
And a short breath and start all over again the following week in Bangkok with a Johnny Walker. And I can see those weeks between then and Christmas being filled in as well. There's talk of events in co-sanctioned events in Asia and Australasia. So the 52-week season, the Christmas skins or something there in between.
And we're not talking turkey here. Any more good news while you're on the subject, Colin?
I was thinking of all these, I was having a quick look sort of beforehand about sort of making the Ryder Cup before Christmas. I reckon you to actually be in the top 10, you need £500,000 nowadays. It's around that mark based on the whole of last season and what was in 10th spot at the end of a full year.
Jimenez was the lieutenant in 1997. He was one of the stars at Boston in '99. And he's maybe running into form at the right time. What a glorious end it was to the season last year with victory in Jerez and taking Woods all the way into extra time at Valderrama. That'll be the runway at Sion, is it?
Correct. That's the, well, it's we've got a few military aircraft are based there. It's also a few private planes. And if you're lucky enough to get a plane and want to go to Geneva, you go take straight off and go over down the line. Just keep going straight and you go over the mountains and you come to Geneva the other side.
Yes, it is essential you go over them.
You can't hit one underneath the branches.
Garicci's second up the hill at the 15th.
Tell you what, that looked terrific. That's right on line. And it did. That's a wonderful golf shot.
Paolo showing the way there with that beautiful 3-wood from the fairway. Just about 8 yards closer to the target is Matthias Grönberg. 247 he has, and the wind up the top of this hill is fair howling across this hole, so difficult to keep it into this narrow green. Out of bounds waits for long and right, so that's got to be avoided.
That was in every way was just as good. Bit of applause. Most of the crowd with this matchup down there on the fairway, they can't see either.
And it is a blind shot for most of these players. They can't really get far enough up this hill to see the green, so they have to aim at the tall pines over the back and a little gap in the trees that's been there for 25 years. Amazing. Aim at that and it should stay in the middle of the green. This looks good from back here, but who knows?
All 3 on the green, Howard. I tell you, if you'd put the pin in that little inlet on the right and gave them 3 balls to try and find it, they'd never achieve it.
And it'll be there one day.
Yep.
And they pitched it in the widest part of the green, which may have been their intent. We'll go back down the hill, the lowest point on the course here, and wending your way up to the clubhouse.
I don't know if you heard that at home. Go, baby.
It's amazing. Certainly English would seem to be the language of golf. I mean, even though obviously his native tongue is Swedish, he's got a bit of Finnish as well. But, you swear at the ball in English and you praise it.
That's the tee shot at the 16th. 232 yards today. And Cabrera firing it right into the heart of the green. Looks like he's going to have a strong finish to his round.
This sort of last third of the course is where something in excess of 150 yards have been added just by lengthening the holes. This one has been shortened in the sense that they've made a par 3 out of it, but it's a long, very long par 3 as opposed to the short par 4. The 17th and 18th have had a fine total of 75 yards added to them. All just to provide a better challenge, big challenge.
Yes, there was a time when you thought you could finish quite comfortably with 5 birdies, the way the holes were set up before. That's probably on the right edge of the green, that flight. Up she comes over the back. That's 2 wonderful shots.
Yes, it seemed to be drifting a little right in the air, and then once it landed, there was a little shelf there, and it kicked in nicely. He wasn't quite where he meant to hit it, I don't think.
Lovely drive from Darren Clark in the centre of the fairway. Greens in regulation, very impressive. You may even hit this green in less than regulation if you can find it in 2, but inside the top 30 and just below 70%. That's not a bad average either. And I think if you can average 29 putts no worse throughout the season, you haven't had a bad time on the greens, especially when you hit 70% of them in regulation.
Merritt didn't find the fairway off the tee at 14, so couldn't go for the green in 2, and he's laid up short of the canyon, and oof, and that just missed the putting surface, and hence the shoot forward off a hard bit of ground. He's not badly placed there, but he's there in 3 rather than 2.
We saw Mark McNulty in that front right-hand bunker of the left-hand one as we look, and didn't get it close enough to make his birdie, so McNulty's still at 2 under par.
Lee Westwood just pondering over this putt across the green. Just found the far right edge. This putt should break right to left overall. It does tickle off to the right early on in the putt, but the putt with so much speed on it from this distance will probably run through that area straight, and generally right to left. Fairly flat.
First to go from that side, so he's provided a sighter for the other 2. And that will be, it's the simplest of birdies in due course. Take him to 3 under once again. He had to wait for his birdies to come after that mistake at the 9th. But a 4 here and par in 68. Just enough to menace the rest.
Grunberg will have seen Westwood's ball run towards the hole. Well, they've got a good line on this one. Really needs something to happen very quickly.
Well, that's more like it over the last 15 minutes or so. Back-to-back birdies and brings him back to a respectable +1. Find another birdie. 71 won't be too far away. He's got an opportunity of maybe a fine morning in the second day.
Philip Price furthest away of this trio, and not that far away. This for a 2 at 16. Up over a little slope there. He's judged it nicely. And a little less hard, and that would have been a good 2. But he's now struggling towards the end of his round. 6-5 at 14 and 15 would be at least 2 more than he'd have expected for those 2 par 5s.
Karichi, shortest of the eagle putts. Go on, go on, go on. You can hear the Swiss crowd there trying to urge that ball to the hole. That was 3 very impressive second shots from an uphill lie, finding such a small target.
They were lovely golf shots, and nice to see how they keep them straight in the wind. A couple of holes ahead, you've got the second shot of McNulty, good for distance, but you really need to be down on the left-hand side. The pin's on a bit of a shelf on the right front there, and if you're anything right of centre, it's a very difficult shot because the wind is blowing the ball across as well from that side. There's a bunker down the left, and if you can get close to that, hitting uphill and slightly back into the breeze, and you can get close.
You can tell the autumn's here. Mark's got the cords out again.
Well, I think it's probably some of the cold, for golfers who sort of follow the sun round, this will be some of the coldest conditions they would play in a year. Till they get to play in the Dunhill Cup, of course. We're a bit chilly at St Andrews in October.
Yes, there's a need for the Clan Douglas Cashmere out there in the middle of October. But, you know, when you look back over the last few years, we've had some glorious days at St Andrews.
Well, it's an event that IMG created and put on, and they did some research, and they actually discovered that the best weather you get is in the sort of late autumn.
That's right. September, October in Scotland are usually the best months. Summer doesn't start until July.
It finishes early in August. Byron who came up with that, because one of the reasons he left England.
A bit softer he would have had it. Two under still in 10th place, but there have been good performances this afternoon from Eduardo Romero, Henrik Nystrom. Soren Hansen has just had another birdie. He's up there at 3 under par with Jimenez and Darren Clark, who's looking for a birdie at the par 5 15th. We'll take a short break and we'll see if the Ulsterman can do that when we return. As promised, the second of Darren Clark up the hill at the par 5 15th. Clark 3 shots off the pace. Now, Hal Clark told us about the 2 pine trees. That's right on it. It's another marvellous shot. Great accuracy, great control of distance.
It was a different type of shot. It was a much lower one, pitched probably 15-18 yards short of the others, and had the run in it. It was saw a different type, because these players are good enough they can hit up in the air or hit it low at will.
Still 1 or 2 players over at the 7th tee, because we have a 2-tee start the first couple of days here at Cran-Sur-Sierre. One of the par 4s that's reachable with a powerful tee shot. This one used to be, now a par 3. And Westwood with a long iron. 3 holes from home.
Playing right on the yardage today of 232 yards. And with this breeze strong from the left to right, it's a difficult target to find. Used to be a really good short par 4. I don't think it's a good par 3 at all, this hole.
I'd go along with that, Howard. It was a cracking par 4. 3 iron for these players, did you say, Howard?
It's absolutely right, 3 iron. Straight at it, but I don't think he caught all of that tee shot there, Ewan.
No, he's found the sand there in that front right-hand bunker. But it won't plug. The sand's of a very high quality here. The bunkers are excellent.
We'll go back to the 15th green, Yarmo Sandlin. We saw a nice tee shot, but a wayward second way out to the right, and he's round the corner of the pines there. It may look blocked out, but you probably can see the pin. So he'll be coming in from there. It comes up over the top, and you see from that distance not a lot of green to work with. Threw it right up in the air and did well to get that close. As you can see, if you start being aggressive, go for the pin, very easy to run off the other side.
Paul Laurie's second came up just in the front left-hand corner of the green. He's got a chip and run, fairly straightforward one. Good four from McNulty. Had to work hard for that at the 17th. Needs a four for a round of 69.
Quite a sharp dogleg this hole from right to left, the fairway tilting in the same way. It used to, in the days before they moved the green, you could almost drive it or you laid up. Now that's absolutely in pole position. He's got close to the bunker on the left, it's round the corner, and he'll have as good a line in as anyone.
Quite a fast chip this, because the sand has come out of the bunker on the bank, so the ground very firm on that side of the green. They have been better with just a little more loft there, Paul Lawrie. It's one of these days when nothing really has gone from at all. He dropped the shot at the 3rd, and another went at the 6th, 6 at the 9th, 39. And from there you've got to try and go and chase birdies, and that's usually when they don't arrive.
Well, they'll have medium distance putts for their fours, Sanderlin and Lawrie. Clark, though, a good eagle chance.
Week off for Darren Clark last week. He's become a great fisherman. He goes down to the River Test with Roger Waters from Pink Floyd. I think he's a member at your place, isn't he?
Yes, yeah. At one point he was actually thinking of buying, as the Americans call, a golf facility somewhere, investing in that in Great Britain. I don't know whether he's done or not. But that's as good as it gets. That's like being a member at Muirfield or Prestwick if you've got a bit of dry fly fishing on the Test.
Yes, just north of Stockbridge, which is a lovely part of Hampshire. No eagle for Darren. Well, it should result in a birdie 4 very shortly. Decent lie for Westwood.
Slightly awkward distance. He's played it brilliantly, but also just on an upslope, which didn't make life any easier. And that's a very, very good shot.
Rather like Tiger Woods when he just turned professional. This was the weakest shot in his game, but he's managed to shallow out his swing. This takes a cushion of sand between club and ball. That was certainly the best bunker shot we've seen of the day. Although Darren Clark, or Lee Westwood, did actually hold one at the 4th. So further evidence there that a weakness has been turned into a strength. John Bickerton struggling at the moment, 5 over par. Such a good season last year.
There's your man Beauvais, Christophe Beauvais, 5 over. So not producing the stuff of a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's not the one featured in the OK magazine this month either. Sanderlin for a 4.
Yes, a little less hard, that could have gone in. And Sanderlin would have known a great opportunity, because he certainly could have got up into crooked second.
Nick Doherty now at 5 over par, or Doherty as he's called in England. What a shot that is, look at that. Sparkling sunshine. Second to the 17th. Looks like he may have pulled it. Only a little. The danger here is you try and hold this ball up too much, and there's a little bunker, you see it just on the left of your screen there, and if you find that, you've no chance of getting it within 10 feet. You're coming straight down the slope.
Yes, that little ledge is so narrow from right. It's only about 4 paces wide, and quirky little place to put the pin. Back to Lawrie for a 4.
Howdy.
He's got that one. Well done. .264 he's gone.
It's the road from Gatwick to East Grinstead.
That time of the day, isn't it? You get a bit brain begins to wander.
Talking of East Grinstead, there's a lovely old course down there, Royal Ashdown Forest, and they're having a Millennium Pro-Am on Monday. Andrew Coulthart playing in that. Jamie Spence, who won here 8 years ago with a final round of 60, will also be there.
Matthias Gronberg from just off the right edge of this 16th green. Played a nice little shot up to a couple of feet. This is to save his par.
Is that enough day in the greens?
It's the third 3-putt from no range that we've seen. Bad mistake. So he's 2 over par. He should, even with all the funny shots he hit in the middle of the round, be 1 under, because the three 3-putts have been from, I think the longest has been from about 10 yards.
Looks like one of these rescue clubs for Romero. Second shot up the hill at the 15th, and yet another one finding that gap. And that's the best we've seen so far. That's wonderful.
I think there is evidence that compared to about 3/4 of an hour ago, the wind has dropped a bit. Because when they were hitting the 14th with a drive and an iron, the wind was howling from behind. It's just a little bit more protected. It's 519 yards, uphill all the way.
There's Jamie Spence, champion of 8 years ago, level par round of 71 today. Carl Sunnison, who had such a wonderful week last week in Munich, couple over. And Nicholas van Houtekem, who will be playing on his home course in 2 weeks' time, the Belgicom Open at Royal Zoet. And once again, all 4 days are exclusively live on Sky Sports. Fine course, that one.
Yes, it surely is. It's Abercrombie and Colt were the designers, or Abercrombie put the first course there. Colt altered it. Harold Colt, who for many is the father of modern golf course architecture, particularly outside of America.
Paul Lawrie going first. And what that means is that Darren Clark must have missed his little putt. Using the slopes nicely there. By the looks of Darren, by that advertising hoarding, I think that's probably the case.
Yes, 3 putts, another one from no great range, and I think that is evidence that these greens are still young, they're still settling down. The run to the hole is perhaps not as true as it might be. Putting for 3 and ended up taking 5, and it wasn't as though he charged the first one.
No, he did the right thing. He got it up there to the whole side. It didn't look much more than 15 or 16 inches away. Little lofted fairway metal here for Jarmo. Trying to cut it in from left to right, and he started it 2 straight. Clatters into the alpine fir tree there, and that's in the lap of the gods to where that one's gone.
Well, if it got a bad kick off a tree, that could go out of bounds. You're into private gardens up there. Philip Price for a 3 up the slope. That's where you change levels. And again, it's not a putt you want to knock 3 feet by, because you're coming down a slope. So, defensive measure.
Bunkers are the main obstacles here to avoid for Lee Westwood. This is a 3-wood headed down the right-hand side, and that's just about perfect where he's hit that ball. That'll leave him a shot across the valley down to the green.
Biggest change of all, I think, the 17th of the green moved over to the left and some 50 yards further back. McNulty's at the 18th.
They've taken out some trees that guarded the right-hand approaches here, which I don't think was necessary. Sometimes got in the way, but they moved the pin, the tee further up the hill and further back, so they were less in play than they were before.
2 balls on the 18th green near the hole there. Patrick Sholand, who needs a birdie for a round of 72, and Jose Caceres is looking for his 3rd birdie in 4 holes. That would get him round in 71. Romero's at the 15th, and very shortly we'll have a new leader. 15th green and 2 fabulous shots from Eduardo Romero, and here he has a putt to go to 8 under par and 2 shots clear. So close. Second shot deserved a 3, didn't it?
It did. It was a lovely golf shot. It must have been a long drive as well to get there with an iron. But there's a tasty card. He's already had 1 eagle, hold his 2nd at the 6th. That's that sort of 5-iron and pitching club hole.
You were saying he's 46. He's maybe got 1 or 2 of the magic portions of the boy from Japan.
Jumbo, yes, he's in his mid-50s now, not a grey hair in his head, and a sprightly step. Still hit one of the longest hitters of a golf ball in the world.
It's good to see him out at the PGA because he's missed a few of the majors over the last couple of years. He's a great character, and you're right. I think it's wonderful for the over 50s to go and watch him and see that he can still knock it around 300 yards.
Well, he's had an amazing career because he won a lot when he was in his 20s and 30s, and then he had about 10 years where he didn't win very much, and then sort of mid-40s he came back and probably won as many tournaments, if not more, in the last 10 years than he had in the rest of his career.
Paolo Caricci has just found the left side of this 17th fairway. Good position, but the flag today is cut 11 on and 4 from the right, very close to the bunker, and with the wind coming from hard off the right, it's going to be a difficult target to find. A little ridge behind the flag should help him if he go long. Just a little 8-iron trying to push this in under the breeze.
Been a good round of golf for Caricci, 3 under par. He's flown it right at the pin, and there from the left side, reaping the benefit of taking a shortish club off the tee, giving himself the best angle in. He'll go 4 under, 3rd birdie in 4 holes.
That's how close it came to being an eagle too. Look at that pitch mark. Right on line, 2nd bounce nearly in full toss. Westward from the other side.
10 yards close to the green, 125 for Westwood. Just a wedge.
And you can see the additional difficulty there. He's a little upset that hasn't got on, but the difficulty, the further up to the right you are, the more the ball is above your feet, and all that tends to drag the ball. And as Howard was saying, wind across from right to left, whipping, as you can see in those little awnings.
Darren Clark's tee shot at the 16th came up just a yard short of the green. Weak chip. Oh, after missing a little putt in the last, it's a shot gone.
With his length, that's 4 bad holes. He took 4 at 13, didn't birdie either 14 or 15, and now he's taken a 4 there. That's really the equivalent. He should be 6 under now with the way he plays, and he's probably thinking that. Amazing how one little slip after a very good first dozen or so holes, and it sort of spoils and it can become catching.
Kronberg safely on the 17th in regulation. Not making excuses for Darren, but it's been a slow part of the golf course that. He's quite a quick player. Now we've dropped the shot at 13. There's been a lot of weight.
Well, you do on the par 5s because you can get home in 2, and then a lot of people fail to do it. I was saying earlier on the difficulty of the very slowness of professional golf. It's amazing they play as well as they do sometimes because you can't get on.
Is that long enough to carry the right-hand bunker? Does do. This has been a splendid display of golf from Romero today.
As you say, he's gone into the lead. Of course, the thing we didn't see was he missed the 14th green in 3, he chipped in, which that's why I was surprised to see he was 6 under after 14.
I just wonder if his ball stayed on the green there. We've talked about how all the edges of the greens falls away into the edge of the semi. We'll see in a moment, but not before we have a look at Price's second at the last.
Around about 110 yards to the pin he had. Good angle, provided you can avoid the bunker down there. It's about 260 yards off the tee, and all the ground on this 18th slopes from left to right.
Lie for Jimenez. Has he got all of the ball? No, he hasn't. Oh, and the backspin kept him away from the water.
Coming from sand, a long bunker shot is, you have to be so precise. Just catch the ball before the sand, and the sort of puff of dust that came up indicating he just caught the sand first.
Westwood deciding to putt this from the front of the green. Should swing from right to left, but again he's misjudged at first putt. He's done that several times today. It really does not travel out of this fringe grass.
Driver for Dan Clark, sets it off down the right centre. And that's all right, inside the bunker line.
Say, when you see Darren Clark's drive coming up there, the one Jimenez hit at this hole, which got past that bunker, which is 270, 280 yards to achieve that, was an enormous hit.
Gromberg from not the correct side of the fairway for this flag position today. Hit a very, very good shot indeed. Sand wedge. Really, the breeze is quite strong at the green, and the players don't realise that when they're back in the fairway. Slightly sheltered, but he's left himself an uphill birdie putt, and really, if he's going to get back to level par, this has to get in. A little bit of break from right to left.
Look at the swing on that. He's got it perfectly. Well done. He really is coming on strong. Gromberg, apart from it's the third birdie in 4 holes, unfortunately 3 putts at 16. But he's finishing better. He can find a 3 at the last, 71. Not bad. You'll certainly feel he's escaped.
Oh, he could have been on the way to 75-6. He let 1 or 2 things slip. But he has a great temperament, Mathias. There's nothing too much bothers him.
Yeah, a little bit like Westwood in that respect, which is a sunny disposition, but it's a sort of professional bad round.
Third of Jimenez here at the 18th. Hardly wastes any time at all once he gets the club behind the ball, and that's a superb shot. The difficulty there is he didn't quite know, I don't think, where to land it, because he wasn't sure what height the ball was going to come off the club face. Very well judged.
And you can see there just about the wrong position for him was the little rise up in the green, just about where he wanted to pitch it. Westwood, meanwhile, to save par.
Hugely annoying after a wedge in your hands for your second shot. But as Howard said, he was coming from the wrong side, and really all you can do there is just aim the ball into the centre of the green. At least you'll give yourself an uphill putt and the chance of a 3.
But you can see how in some ways that is the most irritating way to squander a shot. Fritted, he was within, well, the pin at 16, at 17, there's only 11 on, so he was within a dozen paces of the pin. And 99 times out of 100 he'd have done that with his eyes shut.
Looks good enough to swim in, but it's pretty cold out there. Great 3 from Karichi.
He's done very well. He would have been a bit nervous starting out in this sort of company. He got it out in 35, and he's had 3 birdies in the last 4.
Taking him to 4 under par alongside the Australian Brett Rumford. Kenny Otto with a round of 66 today. Michael Campbell has at last been passed by Eduardo Romero, and Romero requiring 3 pars for a round of 64. We'll see that when we come back. It's been a glorious day for golf here high up in the Swiss Alps. We're at the 17th with Darren Clarke. 5 shots behind after these 1 or 2 mistakes he's had. Mustn't leave this right. Didn't think there was enough room in between the bunker and the pin to hit it there.
Well, a bit of anger there, and as you say, maybe not the most practical decision. But here's the man of the moment, who's played some wonderful golf. He's had 1 eagle, he's had chances of others, he's got this to go 2 ahead. 2 here and a pair of 4s, he'd be round in 63. It's got the line.
Rather warmly westward on the 18th after that 3 putt at the last. Using as much of the tee as he possibly can. Bunkers down the right side. It's all right to come up a yard short. Good lie from there. It's not a bad angle to come in from. Let's take a check on the leaderboard. Romero, having tapped that putt in at the 16th, remains 1 clear of Michael Campbell, who shot 65 earlier today. And here is the leader on the 17th tee. Interesting to see the many ways they've played this 17th, Bruce.
Yes, from the driver off up the right-hand side. The drive of Jimenez was an immense one, past that bunker by about 10 yards. And Karichi, the local lad, had sussed it all out, down the left, took a club to stay short of the bunker, best line in, and made a 3. Philip Price at 18th for a 3. He's got the legs. That putt he'll have in a minute for a round of 69. And I think anything under 70 today is, you'll say, well, that's a good enough start. With the exception of Westwood and Clarke, who got into positions to really take the course apart and have the games and the confidence and belief to do so. Will have been a little bit irritated that they haven't taken the opportunity.
Jarmo Sandlin, you see at the front of the green, he's already hauled out sadly for a 5, a drop shot there. And unless Laurie can knock this in, he'll be in the same boat. It's a definite 5 for Laurie. Just when he looked like he was clawing his way back in the middle of the back 9, a couple of shots have gone needlessly. Now this is one of the toughest putts on the course, because it looks like, if anything, it should fall in from the left, and it's the other way.
Well done. Very good. That was a good description. He read it that way. Takes 5 to finish with, so after a wonderful opening 9 of 32, 37 home, and a 69. Another one, rather like Clark and Westwood, will be a bit dissatisfied with that score.
Can redeem himself here, thought the 17th. Clark for a 3. Hasn't had a birdie since the 7th.
Do you remember at the 8th he had he had a putt to go 5 under, and it stayed right on the lip, and you have your first bogey and it stops everything. That was his momentum interrupter.
Pereira holes out at the 18th. Hits for a par in a round of 69. Just the one drop shot after that wild drive at the 10th.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Or 4 rather. So 4 will give him a 69, but it'll be a day of opportunities missed.
Yes, if there's a bad 69, then he's probably going to have it. There have been some wonderful images since we began the first round of the Canon European Masters. It all began at 7:30 Central European time. Nick Faldo a round of 69. Philip Price has brought the form he had over at Firestone to Cran-Sur-Sierre. Jimenez looks as if he's back, despite a 5 at the last. Clark a little hot alongside his chum Westwood at the 18th. Henny Otto from South Africa's had one of the best days he's had for some time, a 66. 1 behind Michael Campbell, and the leader we have here at Cran-Sur-Sierre, the man they call the Cat, Eduardo Romero. 7 under par, 2 to play, 2 pars will see him round in 64.
Thanks to Ewan and Bruce and Howard after a day of hot golf. You can probably tell with the gear here that things have cooled down considerably here. It does tend to do that in the evening, but we hear the weather forecast for tomorrow is terrific, so we're looking forward to that. Also looking forward to the first round from the Bell Canadian Open. That's tonight at 10 o'clock on Sky Sports 2. And of course Tiger Woods playing. Hal Sutton is defending there, so great action coming up from that. After that, we'll have highlights from day 1 here at Cran-Sur-Sierre, and I can say that we'll have an update on how the leading players finish. That's coming up on Sky Sports 1 at midnight, and we'll be back with our live coverage from the second round Friday at 1 o'clock on Sky Sports 1. As I say, sunshine forecast. We look forward to another great day of golf. Thanks for being with us today for round 1 coverage. We'll see you later. Bye-bye for now.
Sky Sports with Scottish Life, the pension company, bringing you winning performers.